There are currently 8 rare brawlers in Brawl Stars. Although they are the easiest brawlers to obtain, it doesn't mean that they aren't good competitively. But who out of these 8 brawlers sit on the throne of the rare rarity? Well, it certainly isn't Bull, who is our worst rare brawler, sitting on dead last. But before going onwards, keep in mind that these rankings are determined by how good a brawler performs throughout the entire history of the Brawl Stars Championships. So sorry for my Pika fans out there, but Bull is unfortunately on the bottom of this list. He is one of the original brawlers, and it is very difficult for Bull to compete with newer brawlers with flashier mechanics, especially being a tank with no range at all. To put it simply, Bull is just a bad brawler both competitively and non-competitively. In Kairos' most recent tier list, he's at the D tier, which is the lowest for any of the rare brawlers. But let's not fall into the trap of the recency bias. This video is about the entire history of Brawl Stars, so is Bull any good in the past? Well, not really. Bull's only decent mode is Heist, and this is not an exaggeration. In the past 3 World Finals, Bull was only drafted 4 times. His best feat is probably in the 2019 Brawl Stars World Finals, where Cerulean drafted him to deliver the finishing blow, winning that year's World Finals. But yeah, this Heist merchant has not been meta since the 1940s, and it seems like a groundbreaking rework is the only way for him to be good again. Anyways, on 7th place we have Bull's good friend El Primo. Yeah, these 2 basic close-range brawlers are no match for the other brawlers. Just like Bull, El Primo was the go-to brawler in 2019, simply because the skill level back then was much more lower, with tanks being the main meta. But in the modern Brawl Stars era, we all know that the meta always edges to longer range brawlers. Therefore, there's really no debate that these 2 melee brawlers are the worst of the worst. However, El Primo is still slightly better, due to his super and gadget being better at basically every aspect. Both of the super allows them to get closer to the enemy. However, the contrast is that El Primo cannot be hit during his jump, whereas Bull is most likely already dead before reaching the enemies. And the stats do reflect my point, as El Primo already has 4 appearances in the most recent World Finals, whereas Bull took 3 years to reach the same feat. But what's better than 4 world appearances? Ironically, the brawler coming in at number 6 was drafted 6 times last year, and she is the reason why I chose being stuck with a bear. Anyways, Nita is our number 6 best rare brawler. Well, she certainly isn't bad, and the difference between her and El Primo is definitely massive. But the top 5 is just on another level. Nita is currently an A tier brawler, with her best mode being Heist as always. After receiving her hypercharge, Nita solidified her position as one of the GOATs of Heist. In the recent years, Nita has always been a good all-rounder, floating around the A tier. Her role as a mid-range controller really works well on maps with many walls, as her bear is a great counter to any close-range brawlers, allowing her to exert massive pressure. Having a beefy 8000 HP means it is really difficult to remove her off the map, with both her gadgets and star powers being well designed. It gives Nita many versatility in different scenarios. However, I simply cannot rate her higher due to her performances in 2021 and 2022, where she was only drafted 3 times across both World Finals. But yeah, those 2 years were dominated by snipers, so yeah, there really isn't many things that our bear could do. However, our number 5 brawler somehow managed to creep in 15 World Finals appearances in 2021, despite the meta not being in her favor. She is none other than the most overpowered brawler on release, Rosa. Man, I still remembered when Rosa was released, she was beyond broken. As usual, the tank meta really favored Rosa in the 2019 and 2020 meta. Rosa was designed to be the tank to counter tanks. With 10k HP, a super which negates 70% of all damage, and a longer range than most tanks, she was essentially the tank killer, especially against one tank which thrived in 2021. Buzz was drafted 33 times in the 2021 World Finals, being picked almost every time when the map wasn't super open. And Rosa acted as a great countermeasure. Besides countering tanks, Rosa was also a good standalone brawler, being able to creep up walls and exert pressure when needed. As so, Rosa basically had a niche role in closed maps where the longer range meta is less relevant. 2022 was an off-season for Rosa, as she was only drafted once throughout the entire World Finals. But she had a generational comeback from the dead in 2023, where she was drafted 18 times and banned for 33. And this was simply for one reason. Rosa, being one of the pioneers of Hypercharged, really pushed her straight up to the S tier. Only a selected few brawlers were blessed with a Hypercharge during the World Finals, and Rosa was lucky to be one of them. As so, she pretty much solidified herself as one of the greatest tanks of all time. Although Rosa nowadays isn't what she used to be, she is still a pretty solid B tier brawler and could shine depending on the matchup. Funny enough, our number 4 brawler currently sits on C tier, but through the course of Brawl Stars competitive, he has been the better brawler. And of course, he is the face of Brawl Stars, Colt. Colt is a long-range, high DPS brawler with great gadgets and star powers, making him viable in many game modes, with his best mode being Heist. However, in recent years, he has been power crept. In the old days of Brawl Stars, Colt was the go-to Heist pick, due to him having the most DPS. However, newer brawlers with much more DPS capability has overtaken his role. Colt truly peaked in 2021, where he was drafted 12 times. However, in the most recent World Finals, he was still drafted 7 times, which is a pretty respectable amount. Colt's Silver Bullet allows him to break open the map, which definitely enables him to shift the dynamic of a match. However, one of the other rare brawlers just simply does it better, and we will definitely get to him later on in the video. Now, entering into the top 3, it was really hard to rank these 3, as all 3 of them fill vastly different roles and has been relevant for years. However, I finally decided to place Poco in 3rd. Poco is arguably the best healer in the game despite having the simplest mechanics. Being one of the beta brawlers of the game, he is still able to go head to head with newer healers like Byron and Barry. Poco's main selling point is that he's able to heal his teammates while also firing shots at the enemies. Both of his star powers offer immense value, with that Poco enhancing his healing capabilities, while Screeching Solo allows him to confirm kills on weaker enemies. And of course, the best thing about Poco is his gadgets. After this recent gadget change, both of Poco's gadgets can be spammed infinitely. His first gadget upgrades his healing role to another level, while his second gadget completely neglects any status effects from enemy brawlers. It is not controversial to say that he might be the best support brawler in the game, due to his versatility in basically every single game mode. In the last 4 World Finals, Poco was drafted 28 times in total. And in the most recent meta, healers and support has become a staple of the game. Poco, being one of the best supports, has skyrocketed in usage rates. In Kairos' most recent tier list, he was ranked the number 6 brawler in the game. Before we cover the top 2 brawlers, I would like to remind you to like and subscribe. It is free for you and it really does help the channel out. Anyways, our number 2 rare brawler of all time is Brock. Brock has been one of the most consistent brawler in the game. Although Brock is one of the worst snipers in the game, his wall-breaking abilities and this no-skill explosion definitely makes up for it. In the past 4 World Finals, he was drafted 21 times, which is slightly less than Poco. However, I feel like he was the better brawler in the OG days of Brawl Stars competitive. Piper and Brock were basically must-pick brawlers in bouncy and long-range maps back in the days. However, Brock is only getting better by the day. Due to the gadget change update, Brock can now spam his gadgets. His Rocket Fuel gadget has a mere 15-second cooldown, meaning that every 15 seconds, a wall gets blown to smithereens, making him the greatest wall breaker in the game. And I think this mechanic of Brock will be used by the pros in the future. Finally, the king of rare brawlers is of course Barley. Being the only thrower of the rare rarity, he is definitely the most consistent brawler in the game. In the past 4 World Finals, he has been drafted a total of 53 times, which is more than Brock and Poco combined. Barley has always been one of the best throwers in the game, as he specializes in area control, which makes him a fantastic brawler in modes like Hot Zone and Siege. His damage output is also decent, making him one of the staples in the OG days of Heist. Furthermore, his Herbal Tonic gadget provides support for his teammates. Being able to spam this infinitely after the update just makes Barley even better. Barley is a great all-rounder and has always been an A to B tier brawler throughout the history of the game. After receiving his Hypercharge, it strengthened his role as a controller even more. My glorious King Tensai with the double World Champ difference clutched a 1v3 with the help of this monstrous Hypercharge. He is still able to compete in this new meta. Anyways, that concludes the video and Barley is officially the king of all rare brawlers. Now like and subscribe so you could become the king as well.